Okay, so I've just walked across a little bit. I was over there before, so you can see it's quite a small area I'm working in. Don't discount, I always say this, don't discount taking photos that you had no plan on taking. Okay, so ideally I've come here to shoot autumn colours. We're a little bit early here. Very unusual year. Normally by this point you'd almost have no leaves left on the trees. So this is very unusual this year because of the warm and wet summer that we've had. So I've just turned round, so I've been shooting sort of all over the place, but I've just turned round. Okay, there's hardly a hint of colour. The ground is lovely, which gives you a nice contrast, but I've just seen these 3 trees in the middle here, so I've just been playing with the standpoint on these 3 trees. Initially I had the one at the back slap bang in the middle between the 2 trees, and then I've just moved very slightly just so it comes a little bit more up to the left, so it's not absolutely slap bang in the middle. Because we do have that other little tree next to it on the right hand side which balances it as well. Oh, wind's blowing, lots of raindrops. So yeah, just to suggest, don't worry if you come to shoot colour and it's not here, you can find other things. There is colour. I mean, look at the colour of these green tree trunks, it's absolutely fantastic. So we shall shoot here and see what we get. Welcome back to the Spolderbos in the Netherlands, the woodland of the dancing trees. And for those of you, you might have seen a previous video, or it might be coming shortly. I'm not quite sure which order I'm going to place these online in. I was here a couple of weeks ago, sorry, and it was not raining, but the rain was coming through the trees because it had been raining. So it was a pretty dull day. So quite often I take a record shot so that I can remind myself of what it was that I enjoyed photographing at the time and what maybe I like to accentuate with the image. This location caught my eye because it's got some lovely trees, lovely balance, lovely interest throughout. So we've kind of got 3 layers here that I wanted to capture. The first being these 4 quite solid trees in the foreground. This one especially, a bit of a bendy one. Same with this one. This one's maybe a little bit straight, but it's okay. It's got a little bendy one coming out behind. Then you've got the next layer, which are these trees that sort of sit through the back here. Again, same sort of trees, but they're just like set back a little bit. And then on the final layer back, you can then see these pine trees in the background, which give a lovely coverage of light. So you're hardly getting any light coming through. And also they create quite a nice backdrop or a contrast. So these are the 2 images that I've chosen to have a play with. And for those of you who have seen me walk through, like trying to make a choice of which one image you're going to play with or work with from a location, I've given myself a dilemma here because I like these both, but I like them for different reasons. So this is the first one, and I love this one for the top half. Okay, everything from the roots upwards I like on this one. I love the movement, I love the sort of softness, I love the detail I've held, I love the contrasts. However, this one I love for the base. So if you go back to this one, you'll see how messy the base is, how much you can still see, especially these really distracting logs and things, which I don't like at all. This one, however, this is all a little bit mushy, I find. It's not quite detailed enough, but I absolutely love the ground. So I thought of questioning myself about what I was going to do about this one. Which one was I going to choose to edit? And in the end, I came up with the decision that I was going to pull them both together and create another image out of it. So what I'm going to do is just run you through very quickly, taking these 2 images into Photoshop to show you what I managed to do with these 2 images. Okay, so I'm going to select these 2 here, and then we're going to go edit in, and we're going to go down to layers in Photoshop. Those of you that have watched previous videos from me will know this is a pretty standard process I go through when I'm merging images for multiple exposures and such like. This one I'm actually trying to bring different parts of the image together, so it's not that I want to just overlay them and bring the whole thing out. It's that I want to combine them so that the top half and the bottom half stick together. I'm hoping that you can follow this and hoping that I don't go through this too quickly, and so it's clear for you. Right, this is my favourite image of the 2, okay, and just so you know, I've got a little cross here on my screen, and that is because I've got my caps lock on. If I go caps lock, then you get the caps lock off. You can see I've now got a proper mouse going on. So I'm going to put swap these round because I want the image that I like the best on the bottom, and I'm just going to add to it. Okay,
Now I did try to put these together and align them, and Photoshop wasn't having any of it, so I'm not even going to bother when I'm showing you this one. So I'm just going to do it by eye as we go through. I will say that I have edited these in Lightroom beforehand, and I've edited one, and then I've just copied the preset, the settings straight onto the other image, so that they're both processed for light, contrast, darkness, that kind of thing. So I'm going to work with this one here, and we're just going to flick through. I'm actually, just because I'm literally bringing part of the image to the other, I'm going to work with the normal setting for the blend mode. Okay, so this is the area I want to keep. This is the area I want to lose. So on this one, I am going to do a layer mask. Okay, so it's just this little button down here with the hole in the middle of it. I don't know how else to describe it. Add a vector mask, it says when you hover over it. Then what you need to do is you need to go over and select the paintbrush tool. And then you need to make sure that this area here is selected black and white. Okay, and you need to start with the color on top that's the opposite color to this this mask. Okay, so I'm going with black. Now I want to get rid of all of this top here, so I want to make my brush quite large because I don't want to be doing lots and lots of fiddly stuff. I literally want to get rid of all of that, and I also want to get rid of the whole thing, so I'm going to take the opacity up. So literally I am just going to brush over the whole of the top of this image here. You can see it's not quite on top of each other, but we'll sort that out in a minute. So I'm just going to bring it down to the tree trunks there. Now you can see I've got some area in here that I don't want anymore. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller, a bit larger than that. I keep my hardness down at 0 normally because I want it to be a really nice soft brush. So this is about the right size. And now I want to take this back. So now I'm going to change this because now I want to go take it back, and I'm just going to work my way round this, work my way round the roots here. Now you can see this is where the images are not lining up with each other. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is line these areas here that you're seeing up with the areas that I want them to be. So I'm just going to grab this and move it. There we go, brilliant. So now you can see that these elements are all lined up. Maybe just, there we go. I think that's probably much better than it was. There we go, we're almost lined up. Maybe there's a little jarring here and there, but that's a lot better than it was. So we're going to go back to the mask again. Okay, now it's all lined up. So now I just want to tidy up. Oh, that doesn't look so good now for some reason. There we go. So now I just want to, let's just, some of these may need just playing with shortly. Some of them I prefer to get right. So these ones I can correct. It's things like where the actual lines go down, I can't correct so easily. So I'm going to go with that. So let's go back to the brush. You can see this has just changed. So I'm just going to tap on this black white to get back to black and white. So what I want to do is just get these bases correct. So I'm just going to change the setting here. It's going to, oh, that's not quite right. Let's just take that back. I was editing on the wrong thing. So you need to make sure you clicked on the mask that you want to be editing. I think I was on a, what I was on. So I just want to bring back as much softness as I can throughout here, because that's really what I wanted to do. And this is just coming through because they're not sat right on top of each other. Now I'm just going to address this little issue here. Okay, and again, this is you do it very, very gently with different brushes, and you just work until you feel, this might actually be a cloning thing to deal with here in a minute. So I'm actually quite happy with that, but I'm just going to have a little play here and just see whether to take a little bit of this off just to soften it to match the bottom here. So back on the mask, nice big brush here, because I'm going over the whole of the top here. And remember, you can always get rid of whatever you're doing, but I'm going to go sort of 29%, and I'm just going to take off some of the sharpness here. Now I'm not sure whether I've taken too much off here. Let's get rid of that so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, quite like that. I'm thinking maybe I've taken just a little bit too much, so I'm going to just take it back again. So this time I'm just bringing back a tiny little bit, not much. There we go. That's much nicer. Okay, so now we have an image that you'd never know, I don't think, that there's two images sat there together. If you want to work on this later, you want to keep both layers, go File, Save As, and then you can choose to save it as a TIFF or a Photoshop. However, what I'm going to do, because I'm not coming back into this again, I'm going to go Layer, Flatten Image. And so this will make a small image because I'm quite happy with this. However, now I'm just going to make some adjustments in here on little things annoying me before I take it back in. And this is the biggest thing. This is the biggest bit that's annoying me. So I'm just going to take up the, change the brush, and I'm just literally going to clone some of this up into this area here, just to get rid of any distractions up on the edge here. And we're going to be cloning in Lightroom shortly, so I'm not worried about kind of going over the edge. This little looks a little bit like a little snake wiggle just there. That's kind of gone. Now I'm just seeing this area here. Just do a very, very small brush here, because I just want to literally put a little bit up through there. That looks okay. A little bit here. I'm just looking on the edges just to check there's no distractions on any of the edges. Tiny bit here, because you can be guaranteed that's the place that somebody will notice. And then I'm just going to address this little bit here that I didn't like earlier. So I'm just going to kind of just soften this off a little bit so that it's not quite so obvious. And you could do that with a lower opacity brush if you wanted to, if you felt that that was a bit too sort of obvious. There we go. And that is your final image. So I take that through into Lightroom. So I'm going to go Save now. And it's going to come through into Lightroom, hopefully, she says. And there we go. And you can see it's all sort of messy at the moment. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it and get rid of those edges. So I'm just going 6x4 because I quite like that crop. This crop, there's no major distractions. There you have it. So just to finally finish, I might just play with blacks just to check there as far as I can push them. A little bit of whites, quite like that. Just see if the temperature's what I want it. Quite nice, just warming up very slightly. And then I'm just finding this quite bright at the bottom. So I'm just going to drag a very light exposure over the bottom here and just see what I can do with it, just to take it so it's not so dominant in the image. Just a little bit, we're not talking an awful lot. And it's also quite bright orange actually, so I'm just going to just take the saturation off a tiny little bit. There we go, just so that it's not quite so orange in your face. So there you have the final image. So you have, let's have a look, this one, and this one, I think. Let's just check whether that's correct. Yeah. So we started with these two. We had this one which had the lovely base to it, and this one which had the lovely trees to it. And then you can see I've got something that's sort of sat somewhere between the two now. I've got the lovely base, but I've got the lovely trees still in the top. I have to get rid of all the distractions, such as these little white areas. You can see that's this like up here. And yeah, that's bringing two images together that I liked, the one half and the top half and the bottom half. And it's, yeah, just creating a multiple exposure, but doing it sympathetically to bring parts of an image rather than overlaying the whole thing. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it was followable. I tried to do my best. And if you like it, give me a thumbs up or a comment, and I look forward to seeing you on the next time.